Good morning, everyone. We're going to be starting our service this morning by singing "I Know This Rose Will Open," and we'll be doing a kind of a brisker version than we're used to. We'll be doing a round, but the round is not important for you, but the singers will be singing it up here, and you'll hear it. So just sing along, and if you feel like doing the round, you're welcome to. Here we go. I know this rose.
Fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. So we join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves, to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, and linked with each other. In that spirit, come, let us worship together this morning. As we begin our service, let us take a moment of grounding, as we always do, acknowledging the land that we rest upon. We know that we are gathered on the traditional land of the Duwamish people, stewards of this land, past, present, and future. With humility and gratitude, we honor this land and the Duwamish tribe. We commit to our role in the story of repair of our relationship with this land and its people. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever and however you love, however your body moves and your brain works, however you identify, you are welcome in this faith community. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has no test of faith, no creed or oath to swear. We have instead the promises we make to one another, commitments we make to healing a hurting world within and beyond these walls. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning. I'm David Bullington, stepping in for Ellen Macom, joined this morning by Reverend Carter. Ellen is fine, but she needs some rest. It's good to be together for this service on the theme of Our Power, Our Planet, to celebrate Earth Month with Reverend Carter and the Westside Environmental Justice Team. Today we will honor our connection to the planet that so graciously supports us, while holding space for the obstacles we face as we relearn how to live in harmony with it. We cry out, we sing, we commit to finding moral courage to stay in the work of environmental justice. If you're with us for the first time or the first time in a while, we're especially glad to have you here. If you haven't already, please scan the QR code in the pew to fill out our welcome form, sign up for our newsletter, or view our order of service. The chalice is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. May its heat energize for the work that is ours to do. May its light make our vision clear and bright. May its warmth comfort us always. This morning, as we light this flame, we mark this time as sacred time. We mark this space as sacred space. Our chalice lighter today is Mary Jane Hussey. Now, as Mary lights our chalice, please join me in speaking the words of our congregation's affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with one another. Now, let us take a moment to greet our neighbors around us. Yeah. It seems like the one that keeps talking, so I was going to let him to chat a little bit. As always, we love to see such warm-hearted connections. We invite you to continue after our service at coffee hour downstairs. As is our community tradition, our chalice lighter has been asked to respond to a prompt and share something so we can get to know them better. Mary Jane has decided to offer a meaningful quote.
Good morning, everybody. This is the first time for me to stand in front of you as a speaker during a service, and I'm a little nervous, but I'll try to be clear and within the time zone. This is a perfect morning for the quote that I've chosen because behind me is our beautiful blue home, and this is related to the work of a historian writer for science, and her name is Helen MacDonald. And she has a collection of essays wherein with each essay she is attempting to bring us into better connection with the wider biosphere of which we are interdependently living with. And we need to recognize that we're not the only species on this beautiful blue planet. So I chose an essay called Vesper Flights. And of course, Vesper is a word in Latin for nightly. And in this particular case, she's writing about swift birds. And they're worldwide, but she, being a British person, probably was talking about the European swift. And the reason that she chose this essay was that quite a bit of research has been done on the swifts intentionally, because they were maybe going to be the reason that sometimes birds got into airplanes' engines when they weren't supposed to and created air disasters. But what they discovered was amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think that her words will express it better than I. So I'm going to read the excerpt from the end of her essay. Swifts are not always cresting the atmosphere boundary, that layer that lies between us and the further space. Most of the time, they are living just below it in the thick and complicated air. That's where they feed and mate and bathe and drink and are. But to find out the important things that will affect their lives, they must go higher to survey the wider scene. And they then can communicate with others about the larger forces that are impinging upon their realm. So I'm starting to think of swifts differently now, not as angels or aliens, but as perfectly instructive creatures. Not all of us need to make that climb, but just as swifts at times stay home to attend to eggs or feed young, a few always do rise, and they communicate with each other so that their lives can be better affected as a group when they fly. So we learn from them, and I think the things we need to think about is how they are able to help each other in order to make better decisions about the future. Swifts are my fable of community, teaching us how to make the right decisions in the face of oncoming bad weather, in the face of clouds that sit like dark rubble on our own horizon. Thank you.
Rise and body your spirit. We're going to sing a song called The Tide Is Rising. Very folky. It's what's known as a zipper song. So most of the words are all the same, and we zip in a little part of it, and you'll see how it goes. So we're just gonna, we'll just start singing, and you just join when you feel comfortable.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is This is where we are called to be.
The storm is raging.
The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
The world is ready.
The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
Each month, 1/3 of our undesignated offerings go to a partner in the wider community. For the month of April, our community giving recipient is Front and Centered. Front and Centered is a diverse and powerful coalition of communities of color-led groups across Washington state, whose missions and work come together at the intersection of environmental and climate justice. Together with key partners, their coalition actively works toward a transition away from an extraction-based economy to one centered on ecological restoration, community resilience, and social equity. You can give by cash or check in the baskets that will be passed around. There are envelopes in the pews if you wish to record your name on your donation. To give by text, follow the instructions on the screen. And now, please enjoy this gift of music, Rising Green by Carolyn McDade, arranged by Chris McHugh.
Oh, my blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, and her sap doth run in my veins. Boundless my soul like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. Oh, my hands hold the waves of time without end, and my side is as deep as the sea. Beating my heart sounds the measures of old, that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love's eternity. Oh, I feel the tide fast as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my soul is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love blows over the land. Oh, my foot carries days from the old into new, and my breathing then shows us the way. Wondrous my faith settles deep in the earth. rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
We now take a moment to make collective space for holding the joys and sorrows of this community. As a reminder, you can share joys and sorrows via a link in our newsletter or via a paper in the entryway. We now take a moment of silence. We hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows, known and unknown, in our community. We lift each other up in love and send that love out to the whole human community. As we take a time of quiet, we have a chance to slow down. This day that we celebrate the earth, I invite you to use this meditation to think of a time when being in the natural world brought you a sense of awe or comfort. Think of where you were, what was so beautiful about that moment. What did your senses take in? What could you see and smell and touch and hear? How did it feel to know you were held by the earth? Grounding in this love and connection, I invite you to lift your voices in singing meditation. There is a love.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
I will now invite forward John Fawcett Long, who will share a reflection from the environmental justice team.
Please note that this reflection was produced without the assistance of artificial intelligence. All lack of intelligence is solely my own. Also, a couple of years ago, I wanted to change the name of our group from the Environmental Justice Group to something like the Climate Action Team. The response, "John, you're an idiot." Then they went on to explain, well, I can't remember what they said because they didn't like my idea, so I stopped listening. But seriously, I'm glad we kept the name or the term environmental in the name, as there are more issues to the environment than just climate. I'm also glad we kept justice in the name, as justice issues are intricately woven throughout environmental issues. People of color and the poor consistently suffer disproportionately regarding the environmental devastation. I'd like to change course a little bit here and thank you for the work you've already done for the environment, from planting trees and to yesterday's outing at Lincoln Park, where the Environmental Justice Group partnered with Friends of Lincoln Park to remove invasive species in order to plant more native species in the park. Thank you very much. But people in our congregation have also been buying hybrid or electric vehicles, installing solar panels and heat pumps, reducing meat consumption, air travel, plastic use, as well as working to save our state's Climate Commitment Act. And our planet, as has been said, is such a beautiful place to all of our senses and to our souls. At times, what I like to do is stop and examine just a square inch of it, and I'm often left astounded at its intricacy and complexity. Unfortunately, every day we hear about new heat records, droughts, floods, fires, species extinction, etc. I easily get overwhelmed and despondent about this. Not only that, but we're up against the fossil fuel industry, a consumption-based economy, an artificial intelligence revolution, and we're also fighting to save our democracy. Joanna Macy, Buddhist and systems scholar and decades-long environmental activist who we lost last year, unfortunately, calls this the great unraveling. Macy also taught the importance of acknowledging our pain, our grief regarding this environmental devastation. I encourage you, uncomfortable as it is, to accept and sit with your grief, with these uncomfortable feelings. She explains that this is a natural response to these traumatic times. It's also a sign that you care deeply. And if you dare, you can ask yourself, when I see what's happening to the natural world, what breaks my heart is, I'll repeat that. When I see what's happening to the natural world, what breaks my heart is. Fortunately, there are signs, however, of a new narrative. Macy terms this as the great turning, from the great unraveling to the great turning. Instead of treating nature like a commodity, more and more people are talking about a partnership, a reconnection with nature. Robin Wall Kimmerer, as probably many of you are aware, gets to this in her work called Braiding Sweetgrass and her other book called Serviceberry. King Charles, of all people, says it well. It all boils down to the fact that we are nature ourselves. We are part of it, not apart from it. Many are calling for a regenerative society rather than a taker society. I was feeling plenty of doom when I was asked to give this reflection, but my research for this talk has reconnected me to the environmental movement. And true to form, these actions were an antidote for my despair. Action being an antidote to our despair. And there's also plenty of other good news. Renewable energies are being adopted at an unprecedented rate. See Bill McKibben's book from last year called Here Comes the Sun. Global investment in the clean energy transition surpassed $2.3 trillion last year. Electric car renovations are exploding. China reportedly has developed an electric car with 500 miles of range, taking only 10 minutes to charge and being very affordable. The rights of nature movement is accelerating around the globe. Tens of thousands of people, probably hundreds of thousands of people and organizations are working on these issues. Well, what can we do about this? Let's keep trying to reduce our carbon footprints. And yet, as we said in my math major days, these actions are necessary but not sufficient. For me, I contend that collective action is needed to move us further along faster. And one way to get involved in collective action is get involved in several local campaigns. One is to address the 4 or 5, maybe 6 proposed data centers in Seattle. We have an action alert downstairs about that. There's been legislation proposed to divest the Washington state pensions from the fossil fuel industry. We're talking about billions of dollars. And there's also a movement called Make Polluters Pay. It's also important, of course, to elect officials who will work with us to save the environment, rather than work to unravel our environmental regulations. I do my environmental work because of what's at stake, but also because I believe we can make a difference. And finally, let's remember our core UU value of love at the center. Let's put love for all of life in all its forms at the center of our lives. Thank you.
We're a spark of it.
Thank you for that wonderful song. It reminds me that while humans are just one part of this world, we have the most agency to make change out of any species. Thus, we are truly at the heart of it. Spirituality comes in when we begin to ask ourselves, what is my part? What do I feel called to do in this world? My Boy Scout leader always emphasized leaving the campsite and the trail better than we found it. Pick up trash, respect the natural features, clear brush from the path. I think that desire to leave our campsite, this planet, better than we found it, is an innate part of who we are as humans. There can be beliefs programmed over that pure intent that muddle the waters, but I believe that it will always shine through in the end when the dust settles. It may need some help along the way. So, how do you feel truly called to help? Follow your heart. It has an incredible intelligence and can lead us to joyous, unexpectedly helpful actions. And now I'd like to share a poem that Ellen had picked out, Goldfinches by Mary Oliver. Some goldfinches were having a melodious argument at the edge of a puddle. The birds wanted to bathe, or perhaps just dip their heads and look at themselves, and they were having trouble with who should be first, and so on. So they decided it while I stood in the distance, listening. Perhaps in Tibet, in the old holy places, they also have such fragile bells. Or are these birds really just that? Bells come to us. Come to this road in America. Let us bow our heads and remember now how we used to do it. Say a prayer. Meanwhile, the birds bathe and splash and have a good time. Then they fly off, their dark wings opening from their bright yellow bodies, their tiny feet all washed, clasping the air.
As always, poetry is a pathway into noticing and honoring our interdependence with the more than human world. It may not feel like the most urgent or important work, but this noticing is crucial. Perhaps these birds are bells come to us. Let us bow our heads, say a prayer. On Earth Day, or on any day we are attuned to the call for environmental justice, many opportunities present themselves. When I worked in sustainability, my goal was to spread knowledge of the problems we faced and all their many faceted layers, as well as the very real hope and joy that came with working on solutions. There are so many places we can jump in. We've talked about this today in John's reflection. We did a service day yesterday. There are so many scales of issues, so many things to be aware of: just energy transition, sustainable design, reducing waste in the life cycles of products, moving our agriculture and food systems to more ecological practices, biodiversity, habitat restoration, and on and on. It is inspiring to learn how many ways we can engage in climate and environmental action, given how layered the problems are, and how many different skills are needed. Helping human systems to be more environmentally sustainable calls for all of us to play a part: activists, policymakers, engineers, farmers, researchers, technicians, teachers, and on and on. So I hope you know you have a role to play, and I hope you feel empowered to engage. But as the years go on, I've come to understand that earth care is also deeply spiritual work. As people of faith, this is something we should also be taking up no matter what other roles we are playing. This work of getting in touch with the deeper truth of our interdependence and allowing ourselves to be actually transformed by it. Our calling as spiritual people is deeper than policy work or engineering or whatever our specific interests and skill sets call us to do. We are called to acknowledge the soul-level grief caused by our disconnection from the more than human ecologies that we are born into. We are called to witness to the hurting souls of this earth and not to look away or numb ourselves to it. In my life, I feel this grief often when I let myself, when I go into the woods and I realize how few names I know of the beings around me, and I realize there are probably species missing from this landscape that I do not even know to miss. There's a grief there. I feel this grief when I drive by slope upon slope of charred forest land. So much in this region has been destroyed by fires in recent years. And my climate grief is one of the layers of grief I feel about ongoing wars around the world. I think of how many people are displaced by the landscapes that shaped their being, and how much suffering is caused just by the severing of this connection between human and place. I think of the devastation of bombs on the land, the farms and forests lost to these conflicts, the poisoning of air and waterways. It is one part of the vast violence of war and genocide. And I feel grief in all the everyday actions I make in this economic system that is outside my values. The food I eat in a hurry out of convenience that comes with a mountain of single-use plastic, the fuel I rely on for getting from place to place, the clothes or other goods that I buy from companies that I know have harmful environmental and human impacts. On my better days, I do not shame myself for the systemic problems I did not create, but the sadness and grief is still there that this is how things are. There's an aching that wants so badly for things to be different. John told us about Joanna Macy's teaching about making space for grief. To be honest, this is something new to me. When I worked in sustainability education, I did not think it was all that valuable to talk about grief like this. I was afraid that it was a place we could get stuck, that it would calcify into despair. But now I know that grief is important spiritual work that helps us move through and into transformation. I have been reading from the author Francis Weller, who speaks about this more beautifully than I can. He says, "How can we fail to love this achingly beautiful world when we are so completely jumbled together with it all? To love this world, however, is to also know sorrow. Our grief is intimately connected to how far we allow our love to reach into the world. Think of those indigenous tribes willing to fight to the death to protect their homelands from being destroyed by mining or oil companies. They know their lives are inseparable from the animals, plants, rivers, spirits, and ancestors of their lands. Our love was also meant to spill out into the world, into the forests and rivers and cloud banks. When the arc between our bodies and the great body of the earth breaks, we fall into an attachment disorder of epic proportions and everything suffers. Grief work is one way we restore our bond with the world we inhabit. Grief work is a way we restore our bond with the world we inhabit. As beings born of this earth, we know the impossible oxymoron of our separation from nature. We are undeniably a part of this living, breathing earth, and yet it is still possible and unfortunately common to feel alone and apart from it. So we breathe in and we make space for our sadness that this feeling of separation brings, and we try our best to breathe out and remember it is only a feeling. We can never be separate from this earth home. Weller goes on. The good news is that we are supremely crafted to feel kinship with this breathing world. We are giant receptor sites for taking in the blue of the sky, the taste of honey, the caress of a lover, the scent of rain. Life moves into us and through us like a breeze, affecting us and shaping us into a part of the terrain. We are inseparable from all that surrounds us. To mend the attachment disorder, we simply have to step out of our isolated room of self and into the wider embrace that awaits each one of us. As we build our capacity for this transparency, allowing the world to enter us, our feelings of love blossom, bringing everything close to our heart. So we have spiritual work to do, to love this world in its beauty and brokenness and impermanence, and to let ourselves be loved by the earth in return. In our meditation, I asked you to recall a time you felt deep connection with the earth, how it held or inspired you. When we are lucky, we have many memories like this, times of being called out into the world to touch and be touched by it. Right now, I am reading the new memoir by Malala Yousafzai, the young woman who was shot by the Taliban for being an activist for girls' education in Pakistan when she was 15. In the book, she talks about many things, mostly not related to the environment. She talks about her trauma, the work of finding her own path in life as a young adult, living far away from her home. But there's this chapter where she returns to Pakistan for the first time since she was attacked. And she experiences throughout the trip fear and anxiety for her safety, for her family's safety, but the land helps her come back to herself. She is surrounded by reporters and dignitaries and has this agenda, and she says, "No, I just need some time in the garden." So this is her words. "Outside, I stepped onto a stone path lined with Madagascar periwinkles. Thick clusters of jasmine sat atop the garden walls, spilling their vines toward the ground below. There were apple blossom trees, spiky silver palms, and shades of green I had not seen in years. I took off my shoes, sat down, and sank my hands into the grass. You are one of us, the flowers and the trees seemed to whisper. Your skin was made to sit under the sun. Your lungs were made to breathe this warm air. As the sky changed from pink to gold, I felt at peace, grateful. When I stood up, my legs were strong again. I was determined not to waste another moment of the trip in fear." When reading this, I was brought to tears, and this is what I wanted to share with you all. Though I have not lived her same life experiences, I knew exactly what she was talking about, and I suspect many of you have. That feeling of being called out into the world and knowing the earth can hold me, the earth can strengthen me. In the Buddhist tradition, the man Siddhartha Gautama was sitting under the Bodhi tree meditating, seeking enlightenment. When he faced Mara, this figure called the Destroyer, this demon of demons that was bombarding Siddhartha with illusions and temptations, trying to distract and derail him. This is this iconic moment in Buddhist history. He's struggling against these demons and refusing to get up, still trying to seek enlightenment. And this demon Mara taunted him. Even if you do reach enlightenment, who will be here to witness it? Naming that Siddhartha had lost his family, his friends, he had been alone at this stage in his life. And hearing this taunt, he reached down and touched the earth beneath him, saying, "The earth will witness me." And that was the moment when he reached enlightenment, when Mara held no more power. And Siddhartha became Buddha and was an enlightened being fully at home in the world. I think that this is one of our calls, even if we are not Buddhas, even if we are not Nobel Peace Prize winners, This connection with Earth is ours too, just as much as it is with Buddha and Malala, a part of our human inheritance. In addition to witnessing the cries of this world and all the beings we share it with, we can ask the Earth to witness us as well. We can cultivate virtues that help us have the courage to face an uncertain future with hope and a willingness to act. We practice gratitude, awe, reciprocity, and yes, grief, which is different from despair. We root ourselves down into this earth home and are able to act on our intrinsic responsibility in the family of things. We are not separate from this earth. Our interdependence can never be taken away from us. All is connected. All is holy. So, my blessing to you is that we strive to be like Greta in our story, like the animals and forest people who raised their voices, who did not know that their persistence would lead to anything, but they knew that the forest was worth fighting for. And may we also be like those giants, a little bit sheepish and embarrassed, but who finally heard the cry of the earth and learned to be gentler and came back to their truer, interconnected nature. May it be so. Amen.
Please rise in body or spirit. We are going to sing Gather Your Courage. I think it came out of the Minneapolis Singing Resistance movement, but it's really applicable for these times. They were in the environmental justice movement too. So we're going to teach it, the tune of it, and then we'll just go on. There'll be a call and response section. So this, I'm going to lead it as a call and response just while we're learning it. Gather your courage into your heart.
Gather your courage into your heart.
When we're together, we can start.
When we're together, we can start.
And then similarly, the next section will go, gather your power into your hands.
Gather your power into your hands.
Care for each other on these lands.
Care for each other on these lands.
Nice. Okay, so then it'll just be, you'll just follow along with us. It's not that tricky at all. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Again, gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start. Now me. Everybody show up.
Everybody show up.
Everybody rise up.
Everybody rise up.
Everybody shake it up.
Everybody shake it up.
Everybody here.
Everybody here.
Now power, gather your power into your hands. Care for each other on these lands. Gather your power into your hands. Care for each other on these lands. Everybody speak out.
Everybody speak out.
Everybody reach out.
Everybody reach out.
Everybody shake it out.
Everybody shake it out.
Everybody here.
Everybody here.
Courage.
Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start.
Again,
Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start.
One more time.
Gather your courage into your heart. When we're together, we can start.
All right. Today we give special thanks to Chalice Singers, John Hanson, Ronnie Bishop, Reverend Carter, Ellis, I didn't say your last name earlier, Marchand? Okay, I was afraid I was going to butcher it. Mary Jane Huzzy, Nate Mesnard and Sarah Deppa up in the booth, our ushers and hospitality team. As always, it is a pleasure and blessing to do this sacred work together.
Please rise one more time in body or in spirit for our closing words. During this service, you may notice instead of a chalice as usual, we have been blessed by this new image of the earth from the Artemis II moon mission. So I leave you with words from one of the astronauts, Victor Glover. He reminds us, in all of this emptiness, this whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe, you have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist in together. And now, as Mary Jane releases our flame, may you go into this week blessed and blessing the world. We hold you in our love as you go.
So for our sending song, we'll be singing another one of the Minneapolis Resistance songs, We Send Our Hope. Send our hope, we send our prayer, we send our strength to those resisting everywhere. May we stand tall, may we stand true, may we walk forward toward the work we're called to do. One more time. We send our hope, we send our prayer, we send our strength to those resisting everywhere. May we stand tall, may we stay true, may we walk forward toward the work we're called.